Well, it's about time, isn't it? Skirk's here. The 5.7 Phase 1 banner is out. We're gonna talk all about it. We're gonna talk about the 5 stars, the 4 stars, the weapons, so maybe you can make a more educated decision about who you're gonna pull. Skirk has been anticipated since, no joke, version 1.1 in one of Child's voice lines.
It's been years since I last saw my master. I should hope the next we meet, I'll at least be able to force her to use both hands to beat me.
And she's finally here. So let's jump into it. Let's start with the 5 stars. All right, so here's the event banner. We're just gonna get right into it. The main course. The reason why we're all here. Skirk, look at that design. God damn. So I know there's a lot of leaks out about her kit. I know that a lot of the creators had gotten early access to the beta server so they can test her out and make a video about it. So I'm not really going to talk about her kit much. It's going to be more of an overview. That, and I plan on pulling for her, so I will be making a full video about it. But basically, besides looking like the coolest god dang character since prepubescent Shibalanke, she's looking to be pretty dope. Basically, she's a sword user. She doesn't have energy. She has a totally new mechanic that deals with energy. She's another character like Risley, where she activates her skill and it enhances her normal attacks, which honestly just looks so cool. So it changes her outfit, which is dope. She's like a serpent sort of warrior. Her burst is just super cool. It's a big instance damage. She honestly seems pretty simple. And yeah, I'm a little bummed that she is cryo because she's super not cryo, but I think they did a really good job with the animations at least. And she doesn't have energy, so it doesn't really feel like she's cryo in the first place. She also summons these little rift things when anyone in the party triggers a cryo reaction, and she can absorb them to do more damage. But again, I'm gonna go more in depth into her kit when I actually make a video dedicated to her. So that's her in a nutshell. As far as weapons go, obviously her signature weapon is going to be her best. No shocker, but I'll talk about that more when we get to the weapon section. But a good chunk of the 5-star weapons are going to be good for her. Most of her damage comes from normal attacks, so any of the weapons that increase normal attack damage are going to be good for her. So the Haran Gapakufutsu is going to be great if you have it. I know most people don't. The Mist Splitter is going to be good. Uraku Mitsugiri is going to be good if you are playing with another Geo character on the team. The Absolution and the Primordial Jade Cutter are going to be really good if you just want a stat stick. For 4 stars, it looks like the Calamity of Eshu, bless you, is going to be good. This was an event weapon given a little while ago, but it does increase normal attack damage. Finale of the Deep is a craftable. That's probably going to be pretty good for her too. Sturdy Bone I don't have, and I honestly didn't even know it was a weapon, but that's going to be pretty good because it increases normal attack damage as well. Black Sword from the Battle Pass is going to be good. Also increases normal attack damage. And honestly, Harbinger of Dawn is probably going to be pretty good too, as long as you can keep her health up, which skill issue is real. And I too have it, so maybe not. Now, artifacts, Finale of the Deep Galleries, safe to say it's going to be her best. It's pretty tailor-made for her. It increases cryo damage, and when they have no energy, normal attack damage is increased, and burst damage is increased. It also seems like Marashusei Hunter is going to be really good because at a 2-piece baseline, it increases normal and charge attack damage, and then just the crit you get is going to be great. I don't have to tell you that. Everybody knows this. And for teammates, it seems like anyone who's cryo and hydro is going to be good. Escoffier, obviously, big shocker. If you got her, congratulations, you probably have a top meta team. If you didn't get her and tried, like I did, welcome. I've been hearing that Mualani holding Thrilling Tales of the Dragon Slayers and just using the Cinder City artifact set is just going to be really good in general, which is kind of funny because she's a DPS and she's not going to be used as a DPS at all. So that's going to be great. Farina's going to be a fantastic teammate for her. I honestly think that Mika is going to be useful, not for the physical damage bonus, but for the attack speed bonus. Layla could be useful because Skirk's going to have a lot of interruption to resistance, but she's still going to get hurt. So the shield might be useful. Yulan and Xingqiu are going to be great, obviously. Barbara can hold Thrilling Tales. Now, Child is interesting because he increases normal attack talents by 1, which I'm assuming is going to be the talent priority for Skirk. Now, if that's true, Child can just fill a spot. Now Skirk also increases elemental skill talent by 1. So that's helping Child. I don't know if they did that on purpose, but a dual DPS with Child and Skirk could be very cool, and I want it bad. So we're gonna see about that. Also, Shenhe. Good segue into her character. She is also going to be on banner at the same time, which is going to be a little bit of a tug at the heartstrings of people who want both. Now, if you're like me and you got her way back when she was literally only used for Ayaka and Ganyu, then you're in luck. But if you didn't, now we're here. Personally, I love Shenhe. Not because she's wearing a bib and tights, but because I like Cryo for some reason. Cryo and Geo are like my 2 favorite elements, and they've largely sucked this entire game. But she does a lot. She basically makes any Cryo damage dealer better. Now, if you use her skill and her burst, she essentially takes 82% of her attack and converts it to extra damage. For anyone doing Cryo damage, she gives a baseline 15% damage bonus. She gives a 15% Cryo damage bonus, and she shreds 15% of enemy resistances to Cryo and physical damage. Kind of a lot. Now, the 15% might feel pretty underwhelming because they kind of are. 15% isn't very much, but up to 82% of her attack as additional damage bonus is pretty great. Now that only lasts for 10 or 15 seconds or 5 or 7 triggers, 5 or 7 hits, but it's still a good chunk, and I use her with my Ryo, and he slaps. As far as weapons, I'm using her on Skyward Spine because it gives a good amount of ER and has high base attack, but you want to build her with basically as much attack as possible, as long as you're hitting your ER comfortably. Artifacts, you could do a 2-piece attack. That's what most people do. I like putting her on Noblesse, because even with the 2-piece attack, if you build her with a bunch of attack here, you're giving her 20% extra attack also when you do her burst. So that extra for her is going to put her a little higher than what you normally would with just a 2-piece attack, plus an extra 20% for the entire team. So call me crazy, but that seems worth it to me. Her cons are largely Her first one's pretty good. She can use another quill. The middle is kind of whatever. And then the 6th one is pretty good. Not only at that point can she use 2 quills, but you can ignore the trigger quota. So now it's just time. So instead of running out of that boosted damage in 5 or 7 hits, now you just have an entire 10 or 15 seconds, which if you're normal attacking, there's a lot of hits. Basically, you could use her to buff any Cryo character and they'll do pretty good. All right, 4 stars. Honestly, these are pretty interesting because it's all Hydro and Cryo characters, which are going to work well with Skirk and Shenhe. Now, do you have a set team right here? No, but you can nitpick some. Dahlia is the new 4-star. We know he's a shielder that scales with HP and also buffs attack speed. Again, going to be good with Skirk. Also, I gotta try to find it, but I could have sworn in a teaser video, as he's attacking, he yells, "Surprise baptism," and slaps the guy around, which is really funny.
Surprise baptism.
It looks like he might also have a little bit of a restriction for Cryo and Hydro characters as well. We don't know. We don't know for sure. But he may also be good with Mika with the combined attack speed bonus. You're going to be ripping around town. Also, this might resurface Eula and Fremine. I think a Dahlia, Mika, Eula, and some sort of flex slot is going to resurface here, so mark my words. But I think the Twink Boy is going to be pretty good. Candace is cool. I actually really like Candace. She's very simple, and she's also a tan Egyptian baddie with 2 different colored eyes, so what more do you want? But she is also a normal attack buffer. Are you seeing the trend yet? If you build her to max HP, about 40,000 HP, you can get 20% with this passive and then another 20% from her burst. And you don't even have to level up the burst for that. That's a flat 20%, whether it's level 1 or level 13. So she's pretty good with normal attackers. I use her with Arlecchino every once in a while. There are definitely better buffers out there, but if you like her, go ahead. Now, Diona is the last 4-star on banner, and she is a pretty simple shielder and healer. And then at C6, she's a buffer. Her skill is a shield, her burst heals, and her constellations are generally pretty useless until you get to C6, where you get 200 elemental mastery as long as you're within the radius of the burst. And she's cryo. So basically, this is where you use her for melt teams for some big boom damage. A lot of big screenshot numbers are with Diona at C6. People use her with Malwika right now. But I think if you happen to get constellations for her and you happen to get C6, you could try her out. But anything prior to that is pretty useless. Okay, now we have the weapon banner. One new weapon, Azure Light, which honestly looks so cool. I want it. And Calamity Queller. Azure Light is Skirk's signature weapon. It's looking like you're getting, for Skirk anyway, a hell of a lot of attack and a hell of a lot of crit. And I say for Skirk because that's if you have 0 energy, and no one's gonna have 0 energy except for Skirk and Malwika. Malwika's a Claymore user. If you have energy, you're getting a little bit of attack. So not really useful for anyone else. But for her, baller. Now, Calamity Queller is Shenhe's signature weapon. It is the highest attack weapon on the planet. It's astronomical. The passive gives you even more attack and elemental damage bonus. It's honestly really good for Shenhe if you could build enough energy for her. If not, then use Fav like everyone else. Now, is it good for anyone else? Kinda. Emily and Escoffier both want attack. It's okay for them if you can't find a crit weapon. Now, I don't even know why you would pull for this weapon if it wasn't specifically for Shenhe. I wouldn't recommend pulling for this weapon as a general weapon. I wouldn't recommend pulling either of these weapons as a general weapon. But if by some grace of God, you get this weapon by accident, you can use it on Yensan. She wants high attack, so that's cool. As for the 4 stars, we'll start from the left, work our way over a la destra. So, Sacrificial Bow, it has an ER main stat. It's really good for anyone who wants to burst and is a support character. It's not going to give you a lot of damage, but it is going to allow you to burst more often, and you can use your skill twice as often. So characters like Kale, Faruzan, Goro, Ororon, maybe even Sijuin, pretty good options. Not the best, but if you have nothing else, it's fine. And honestly, Sethos, which is strange because his kit wants a lot of ER. And the fact that you can skill twice and generate more particles helps his damage by a good amount. It's not the best. Slingshot's still better, but it's an option. Zyphos Moonlight is next. And honestly, I don't have any of these Zyphos sorta aqua weapons, but they are cool, man. I love the color scheme a lot. But Moonlight's pretty good. They all follow a similar pattern where they buff the character holding them and they buff the team by a percentage of that buff. And in this case, Elemental Mastery for the main stat. And if you build the character to around 1,000 Elemental Mastery, they'll get an additional 36% energy recharge at R1, and the team will get an extra 11 energy recharge, 11%. That's pretty good. So it helps the team in some way. So this is good for EM scaling support characters. Who comes to mind? Kazuha. It's a good 4-star option for him for sure. Also Kuki, if you're building her for Hyperbloom, like everyone does, and everyone should. She doesn't really need the energy recharge, but helping the team in that way is pretty beneficial. It's also okay for Alhaitham, again, if you don't have 5 stars or any other real damage option, because he scales off of EM, so that's not bad. And he uses his burst, so the ER helps. And then Jean if you're gonna do a Sunfire team, which is fun. All right, next is the Wandering Even Star. Again, you could have fooled me, man. These look like new weapons to me. I haven't seen these forever. Another EM main stat weapon, except this time instead of giving an energy recharge buff to the team for the amount of EM you have, you're giving an attack buff for the amount of EM you have. So at 1,000 EM, you're getting about 240 attack for the character themselves, and then about 72 flat for the rest of the team. Now, fortunately, a lot of Catalyst characters use EM, so this is pretty good for a lot of characters. It's not the best. Again, this is the theme with these weapons, this genre of weapon. They're all pretty good. They ain't the best, but it's gonna be good for Mizuki, Nahida, Sucrose, Sitlali even, Aoife. It's gonna be okay if you want to do some Bloom stuff with Mona or Barbara, or even if you're trying to react with Yanfei, could be okay. But honestly, a lot of time for the support characters, Thrilling Tales is just going to be better. Next, Favonius Lance. Energy recharge main stat. I don't think I have to talk about this. Everyone knows the power of this weapon, that it was sent down from Zeus himself to give energy to the world. The Benjamin Franklin of a weapon. Tie a little key to this thing and let it get zapped. You could power a whole civilization for a millennia. Everybody wants this weapon for good reason. It's good for anyone who supports and bursts. Candice, Ian-san, Mika, Shenhe, Yao Yao, Yunjin, my mom, Colonel Sanders, everyone. And the reason why it's good is because it has elementless particles. Whoever absorbs the white particles gets a majority of the energy, but the rest of the team gets about half of that much as well. So you could see how this would help. And last, the Makhaira Aquamarine. Again, good, not the best. EM Claymore, same passive as the Wandering Evenstar. The only thing is, it's a support weapon, and a lot of Claymores aren't really support characters. They're mostly DPSs. So giving the rest of the team a little extra attack isn't as useful as other weapons would be for them. You're better off getting damage weapons. But then again, if you're going for big numbers and big reaction damage, it could be good for Chang'e Melt, even Fremine Melt. It could be a good Mawika support weapon, a good Sayu weapon because her healing scales off of her attack. And if you want to do Vapor Melt with like Gumming or Diluc or even Dia, you're better off with Rain Slasher and just doing Vapes if you have it. I feel like everyone has Rain Slasher, at least R12. So if you have that, use it. You don't really need this. Moral of the story with the weapon banner, if you love these characters and you want their SIGs, go for it. You're probably never going to use 3 out of the 5 of these weapons. You're definitely going to use Fav Lance. You might use Sack Bow. You might use Xiphos Moonlight. The other 2 is so situational that you're likely never going to touch them. You get me? So that's what I got for you today. As you could probably tell, I'm getting Skirk. I saved up a bunch of Star Glitter for this very special moment, and I will be making a video about how to build her, the process of building her, screwing up building her, the whole thing. So hopefully this helped you decide who you're going to pull for. If you're going to pull it all, maybe you'll save. Who knows? Maybe Varka's coming out soon. I don't know. But let me know in the comments. Let me know what you're up to, what you're going to do. And I'll see you for the Skirk building video. Ciao.